Welcome everybody. It's great to be here today at the Startups Expo. I'm really happy to have been asked to join you and really glad to be here to present on how to pitch for funding. My name's Simon Turner and I'll be taking you through the next 10-15 minutes from my perspective. And my perspective is I'm an Australian. I spent my first decade of my career in the military, but left and became a founder. I became a founder in 2 PropTech businesses. I've been through a couple of funding rounds, a couple of exits. So I've been in your shoes when it comes to pitching for funding. But in the last 7 years, I've been in Ghana and I've been working with early stage startups, helping them grow, helping them get funding. So I've also been on the other side as well. Not just helping, but also being on the panel, whether it be on a couple of TV shows I do here in Ghana, or just in my general deal flow day-to-day accelerators that I work in, from Founder Institute to Better A's. There's a whole bunch of different hats that I wear that I get to see lots of different startups, lots of entrepreneurs, and certainly lots of pitches. So I'm going to try and share with you some best practices today. But I want to start with, I guess, a cautionary tale or a reality check, no pun intended, that there is no magic money tree. Yeah, there is no one out there waiting to hand you money for an idea, for a half-baked business, or just because you've come up with an idea, or just because you've got a business. You've got to stand out. Getting money is hard. No matter how many headlines you might read for the 1 business or 2 businesses that raise $50, $100 million, there are countless. There are literally millions that didn't raise anything, that just faded away. Not because they weren't good or necessarily that they didn't have a great idea. They didn't get money. Getting money is hard, regardless of whether we're in a great economy or not. So you always have to treat it. And this is what I tell businesses that I work with. Imagine as if you'll never get funding at all. Are you still willing to get out of bed for this problem? Is this problem so profound that you really, really must solve it? Because that's what's going to be the driver. And ultimately, that's what's going to come across to a panel, whether it be in a competition or with VCs or angels when you're getting investment. You've really got to want it, and it's really going to be the driver that carries through. Because often you'll only get one chance. If it's a competition, if it's standing in front of a specific VC, you only get one chance to do this. Imagine you are in that imaginary lift where you get that 60-second elevator pitch, that opportunity, and when those doors open, does that billionaire want to listen more? Yep, you only get one chance at that. So whether you're having a bad day, whether you've done this pitch 100 times, you always have to act like this is your one chance. This is your defining moment that make it count, okay? So some 101 lessons, yep. This applies for everyone. It's useful to remember if you have given 100 pitches as well, that you always need to act with confidence. You've got to come across confidently, because if you don't come across as believing in yourself and your solution, how do you expect others to believe in you as well? And from a content perspective, now today I'm not sharing what a pitch deck looks like. There are hundreds available on the internet. If you contact me at the end, I'm willing to share the one that I look at, but they're typically quite sequential and quite chronological in terms of that they look for problem, solution, team, funding or money, that sort of thing, what you're asked for. So you can see that, but it's got to be authoritative. You've got to be the one that has a clearly defined problem and a clearly defined solution, with you being the team to run it, okay? And you've got to come across as credible. This follows on from authoritative, that you've got to be trustworthy and you've got to be believable. Don't make things up. If you're asked a question and you don't know the answer, say you don't know the answer and that you'll get back to them, and make sure you do follow up, okay? But you've got to come across as reliable. Don't make broad sweeping statements that you can't back up, because that's just lacking credibility. Even small things like spelling mistakes on a pitch deck just demonstrate that you have a lack of attention to detail. Yep. So everywhere where you can, make sure you come across as credible. And this is particularly with charisma when you're doing it in person, whether it be on screen or live, less so if you're obviously submitting a deck by email. But your charisma counts. Very rarely will you be doing a pitch where you're the only person that day or in the room, whether it be on Zoom, whether it be in a competition. You will be in a competition, whether you like it or not, trying to get money in some shape or form. So your personality must come across. You must be remembered, ideally for good reasons. And so whether you feel like it or not, whether this is the 100th pitch you've done on this topic, you've got to sound like it's the one chance and the one chance that matters to you, and that charisma will come across, and that you'll get your head standing above the crowd and be the one that's remembered. And you can see with some of the body language I'm using today that I'm not, I hope I'm not coming across as robotic, that eye contact matters. And this is whether you're on screen, but particularly if you're in a room, whether it be to a small panel or to a panel or a group of thousands, you need to make eye contact. You've got to show intentionally that you're connecting with someone. Don't be all frightening that you're staring at them, but it's got to come across as natural. Similarly with your hand gestures, it's more natural for me, certainly, to stand up. And that's why when I'm online, I stand up as well. That you move within the box. So within your certain box that you can use your hands, that aren't distracting. Don't fiddle around with pens or whiteboard markers or something like that. Don't go tap things or hold your phone. Your gestures should just be proportional, and they should display a little bit of personality, because I like to talk with my hands, but don't have my hands moving around like this, because it'll be really, really strange. And that's similarly with motion. Don't rock back to forth. There's particularly when you're live on stage and you're nervous, there's that tendency to want to shuffle and to bounce a little bit. Don't. But be very natural. And if you've got a screen to your side, or you've got perhaps a demo of your product, make sure you are standing naturally to the side of it and you can point to it. And that's really important. And when you're online, this is really important, that you might be speaking to one person on the other side of the camera, you might be speaking to thousands. It doesn't matter. You've got to sound engaging. There's a tendency when we're talking to a screen that particularly when everyone's cameras are turned off, that we're only talking to one or two people, that we might hunch in front of a screen like that. And we might sound robotic, or it might sound monotonous. You've got to have energy. You've got to bring it. No matter whether you feel like it or not, you've really got to sound like you're not reading, even if you are. You've got to sound like you are engaged and you're full of energy and you're lively, even if it might be at 3 o'clock in the morning. You've really got to demonstrate that energy, and remember that there are people on the other side of the camera. So that's some body language basics. And when it comes to the whole package, I'm talking about on the day, when you are pitching, the things that you must remember. And I've packaged this into my 4M's plus 1, which hopefully are easy to remember. Those on the other side of a panel, or on the panel, are looking at the mindset of the founder. Now, I'm someone that is founder first. I always look for the founder before I look at their solution. Do I think they're the ones credibly the best people to move things forward? Can they demonstrate resilience? Can they demonstrate grit, determination, and focus? Have they been through tough times where they've got through it? Yeah. Are they in this more than just for the money? Are they in this for solving a real problem? That mindset really, really matters, and that's why I've put it first. Does the message come across throughout your pitch? Now, for some people, it's easier to find a persona. So let's call him Stephen. Stephen has a problem with X. This is the solution, and you can weave Stephen through the pitch. Yep, so ultimately when it comes to the end, we understand that you are the people to solve Stephen's problem that is a credible problem. And that's a much easier way sometimes of getting your message across. But ultimately, you've got to find a way to make sure that we understand your why you're in it, why you're doing this, and why it matters. Now, money always makes people's eyes light up and ears go ka-ching, but we're serious about the money. Money is always serious. Like I said, there's no one just giving it out, just willy-nilly without caring. Yep, this is a competition in every way. So with money, if you've already got growth, we want to see it. If you're already making revenue, we want to see it. Make sure it's clear. Do not get tripped up by having false projections or imaginary projections, or make sure your numbers stack up. I can't emphasize that enough, because the panel will see through it so quickly and instantly. If you mess that up, that can really, really damage your credibility and hurt your chances. And when it comes to your ask at the end, so how much money you're asking for or competing for, make sure you can clearly identify where it's going towards. Make sure the breakdown is clear. We want to know what you're asking for, why you're asking for it, and if it's the right amount. And I'll just say with that as well, that you shouldn't just be asking for money in any pitch. You should always be asking for mentorship or expertise where you may lack their expertise. So don't always make it about money. And with movement, this can come in a number of ways, but I would say that with movement, we're talking about the ripple effect. Like, are you making waves? Even if they're small, are you progressing? Now, this can be progressing in terms of your business growth. This could be in terms of the movement that you're in an advocacy shape or form. So we could look at SDGs there. Are you having an impact in your community? But what is the movement? We want to be able to see that you are and you will be moving forwards. And now I have plus one. I had to have that secret bit of magic. The thing that makes you stand above and beyond your competition, stand ahead of the crowd, that je ne sais quoi, that secret ingredient that makes you and your business, your solution, that thing that just makes people want to buy into you. And that can be buy into you in terms of their support, their mentorship, or their money. But what is it that you've got that others don't? And this is something that only you can define, but make sure you have it. Now let's come back to this one chance. Now, you can make sure that when you get on stage that you have practiced. Yep, practice, practice, practice. Even if you've done it 100 times or you think in your head, you know your business inside and out, make sure you practice. Record yourself on screen and watch it back. Do it 10 times. Do it with other people in the room. Do it live to other people in the room. Do it to a bunch of strangers. Do it in an elevator. Do it in places that make you uncomfortable. Because pitching should always get your nerves going. How do you channel those butterflies? Yep. So when you get that one chance, you nail it. Yep. So good luck when it comes to pitching for funding, whether it be any type of funding, whether it be donor, whether it be grant, whether it be competition, whether it be VC, or even if you're pitching for support, which is equally just as important. And sometimes for early stage startups, they need this guidance and need the expertise more than the funding, because the funding will follow from the expertise. Okay, my name's Simon Turner. It's been great to be here today with you at the Startups Expo. I really hope to see you again around the traps. Thank you and enjoy the rest of the weekend.